What music they make. Metal.
Sejam bem-vindos a mais um podcast de Metal Global. Hoje a conversa é com Terry Butler dos Left to Die. Antes da conversa com Terry Butler, não quero mais lembrar que tem a versão rádio em exclusivo na RTP Play. É passar por lá e procurar por Metal Global. Ora bem, os Left to Die, supergrupo composto pelos ex-membros dos Death, Terry Butler e Rick Rozz, juntamente com Matt Harvey e Gus Rios, acabam de lançar Initium Mortis, o álbum que recria com alta qualidade as primeiras demos da banda que deu origem ao death metal, trazendo temas lendários como Legion of Doom e Witch of Hell. Segundo o vocalista Matt Harvey, queríamos que os fãs de death que nunca ouviram estas demos as pudessem ouvir com boa produção. Isto é o ponto zero, 3 miúdos de 15 anos a criar a história do death metal. Mas para falar sobre esta novidade Left to Die, a conversa é com o baixista Terry Butler.
Hello.
Hello Terry, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Everything is good. You're in Florida?
Yep, leaving soon to go play a festival with Obituary later today.
Very good. Busy days for you?
Yeah. But that's good, yeah.
It's busy good. And, before we talk about Left to Die, Initium Mortis record, tell me a bit more about the idea of forming Left to Die, because, it was just an idea to do maybe a few shows and all of a sudden it's becoming like a full touring band in a way. So how did all this started?
Well, about 3 years ago or so, we did a couple of shows here in Tampa. It was called Living Monstrosity. We just, we chose that name because it was going to be the spiritual healing album in its entirety. James Murphy played. Gus and Matt were also on board, and we played 2 sold-out shows back-to-back nights. So not long after that, I think Rick posted a question on social sites, hey, would you like to hear Leprosy in its entirety? And a lot of people responded. So we started talking, and we're like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's play a show or 2 and see how that goes. Well, when we announced that we were going to get together and do that, we got tour offers immediately. We were blown away. We're like, wow, okay. So we went on tour in America, and it was great. A lot of people were enjoying hearing the old songs again. So we're like, hey, let's just let's give this a ride and see how far it goes.
And it's amazing. Does it surprise you that, it's been over 40 years since, Death started as a band? Does it surprise you that, the interest that the band has, how it's crossing generations now? Is it a surprise for you that it's a style of music that shouldn't be, very appealing in a way, but it seems to be better and more appreciated more than it ever was?
Well, yeah, I think that shows you how legendary the music is, how legendary the band is. The music stands the test of time. Death being one of the very first bands that even played death metal, the music stands up today as it did back then. Death is like, the torchbearers for death metal, so to speak. And it's helped that there's been a few documentaries out over the years, and the younger fans, they see these documentaries, maybe they're just getting into metal. They start getting into death metal, they want to know everything about death metal, and they research it, and they see that death is one of the, building blocks of death metal, so to speak. And I think it's amazing. I never would have, I don't know if I ever thought back then that, hey, the band Death is still going to be very relevant in 2026. But I'm glad it is. And it just shows how great the music is, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, it's easier nowadays to search for a band or come across a band that it was back in our days. Like we had tape trading, younger generations have no clue what that is. But it's easier nowadays to find out new artists for the good and the bad, because we talk about attention span, but it's good for our genre of music, for younger generation to find out. It's becoming a lot easier than it was for us, back in those days, to find new bands.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're back then, maybe your father had to show you a cassette or, something like that. Hey, check this band out. But now, the kids, it's all at their fingertips.
Yeah.
Right there they can listen to songs. They can hear if they like a band or not. You can go on Spotify and listen to like 1,000 albums, for $14. So, the internet has definitely, I think, helped the younger generation get in touch with who Death were, what they were all about, what they sound like. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. And, let's go to Initium Mortis, the Left to Die record. These are demos, from the early 1984. First of all, is there many more demos left that could be used for upcoming record, or you guys kind of used the best that was?
There are other songs, but I think we felt we chose like the 12 best songs that represent that whole Mantis/Death era of demos. There's some songs like Skill to Kill and Rigor Mortis, Reign of Terror. There is other songs, but we felt these were the best. And I can't even say if down the road some of those songs might show up somewhere else. Who knows? But I think we did a pretty good job choosing the songs for the record.
Yeah. I was listening to it and it's addictive. First of all, it's a short record the way I like it, a little bit over 30 minutes. And it really sounds, the songs really sound good. And to think they are over 40 years old.
Yeah, I mean, 3 15-year-old kids in a garage recording demos on a boombox, it's amazing. And it just shows you how good the music is and, how determined they were back then to get into the scene and become something important. And, the influences they were drawing from, we all were back then, like, Slayer, Venom, Hellhammer, Kiss, Raven, whatever. But, it's amazing. The songs they still sound good, Yeah.
As I said, I was listening to it and, it was on a loop for, it's been for a couple times and I was smiling.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't trying to, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's like, we just want to give these demo songs a nice production because those demo tapes were rough back then. It's hard to hear everything. And Matt Harvey did an amazing job deciphering and figuring out these riffs and the lyrics and putting them all together and presenting to us so we can practice on them and learn them. And so, I mean, a lot of the songs are familiar in my brain, obviously, because back then I had all the demos and everything. And Rick helped write some of those songs too as well. So some of that was familiar with him. But, so Matt did a great job doing that. And I think we did pretty good on the production. We didn't want it over-polished, but we wanted it to sound like we wanted it to where you could hear everything, basically. So, and I think the guy that produced it, Matt LaPlante, I think he did a great job.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it sounds modern, but not too modern. It's, as you said, you can hear everything on it, and that's why I like it. I kind of, I talk about this a lot sometimes with more modern bands. It's sometimes a record seems to be overproduced. Everything is, like, so high on the mix that it tires the ears, and it's not a good thing.
That's why I think the length of the album's perfect. I mean, if you anything over 40, 45 minutes, you start getting bored because it's the same kind of thing over and over. So that's why we kind of kept it around 30 minutes. And some bands nowadays, they produce it so much to where they can't even play it live.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. Like some bands have to cancel shows because their laptops are glitching. That's ridiculous. we don't want to be like that. So we'll do playing 4 instruments, and that's what you hear. And yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, and the day a death metal band has to cancel a show because of a laptop, I mean, it's the end of the world. You can't. I think it's crazy. Anyway, so how long did it take to put this puzzle together for these 12 songs? How long did it take?
It didn't take too long, actually. Matt spent a while, maybe a month, just getting it all in order, and he sent us all the tablature and all the songs and the playthroughs. And we rehearsed at home and learned them. And this thing has been recorded for quite a while. I mean, we did this back last year, like last September or so. It was recorded and mixed and everything. So we've been sitting on it for a while. We're waiting for the right time to put it out, But I think from digging into it into like recording, maybe 2-3 months, just because we took our time to make sure we did it right.
Yeah. And, with the album coming out, you already announced a summer tour here in Europe. You're going to play from July till August. You're going to play some shows. What are the plans after this? I mean, the other guys are busy. You're busy also with other, like with Obituary and stuff. So what are the plans after the summer for Left to Die and to promote Initium Mortis? Because this sounds really good and I want to hear these freaking songs live.
I hear you. Yeah, after our festival and club date run, we go to South America towards the end of the year, but we're fully planning on doing a full UK European tour next year and festivals again next year. Just squeezing it in where we can between the bands that we're in and stuff. But fans will definitely hear a lot more of it, can see it live. Next year, we'll do a full tour of Europe and the UK.
Cool. And, let's talk about your time in Death. I mean, you show up on Leprosy, even though you didn't play on the album, and then Spiritual Healing. How was your because Death was always, I mean, on the outside, always seems a bit chaotic, a revolving door where musicians would come and go. But how was your time, with Death, even though amidst on what my perception is of chaos?
It was great. I mean, Rick rejoined. He was in Death before, obviously, but Bill Andrews and myself and Rick joined right after Scream By the Door came out. Our first show was in Milwaukee Metal Fest, and our first tour was January '88. It was great, because the band had never had a stable enough lineup to actually do a tour. I don't think they ever officially had a bass player, So we kind of put the band together like that, and we got on the road and toured, and it was great. And Bill and I were in there for a while. We were in there until Spiritual Healing and all that, and obviously after that, it was definitely a revolving door of musicians. But I had a great time. I mean, I learned a lot. I always talk to Chuck almost daily. Hey, dude, thanks for giving me the chance to be in your band and all this stuff and all, So. It was a good time. Obviously, Chuck was a complicated person, emotional, different layers, and sometimes you got on the bad side of those emotions, even though you didn't try to. All in all, it was great. It was a great time, and to be in a band that is still relevant today. I mean, to be in a band back then that's still relevant today. It is great. I have fond memories of being in the band for sure.
Yeah. Well, when you were in the band, did you have the perception how special that band was in a way? I mean, obviously, Death were, the front runners for death metal, but did you realize how special, even though for all the complications that shook my head, do you had that feeling that, I mean, this is a special band regardless if I mean it or not?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that we were playing some music that was like very, very cool and people wanted to hear it a lot and people were interested to hear it. Like it was early death metal. So it was like, very exciting and everything back then. But we weren't like, yeah, we're like pioneers. We're like groundbreaking. We were just like in a death metal band, just happy to be playing shows and getting our name out there and getting the name of death out there. It wasn't until years later that we're like, that I thought, okay, I see a lot of these bands that are influenced. I can hear their influence in their music somewhat. And that's because of death back then. And that's cool. But we weren't like walking around saying, hey, we're starting something. We're starting a whole new move. No, we knew it was cool music, but it wasn't until years later that we were like, that I felt like, wow, you know, we actually did something very cool, you know.
Yeah. And what made Florida so special for that kind of music? Because you had in San Francisco, you had the thrash movement, and then in Florida, the death metal movement. What made Florida was the climate?
I think the climate, it fried our brains. It was so hot, and all the poisonous spiders and snakes and alligators attacking us. We got toughened up real quick. But I think it was a combination of, we had a couple bands here like Nasty Savage and Sabotage that would play local quite a bit, and underground music was really starting to take off, even underground such as like Venom, Raven, Merciful Fate, Hellhammer. And we were all buying these records, and we wanted to be like that too. But when we would go see Nasty Savage on stage, we were like, we want to be up there too.
Yeah.
So in the crowd back in '84, if you went to see Nasty Savage, there'd be Future Death members, Future Massacre members, Morbid Angel members, Brutality members, Monstrosity members. You know, we're all in the crowd at 15 years old. And that seed was planted in us that we want to do this too. And then we had more sound studios here, which helped out. You know, bands were starting to come from around the world to play, to record here. So it just, combination of several things.
And how do you see the scene nowadays? You think it's better or not so much?
It's gotten better. For a while, it was kind of, you know, I would say the late 90s. It was kind of early 2000s, a little thin, but always been good crowds. And now the crowds are coming back, and it's really good. You know, the old days, everyone was just kind of headbanging. Now people, you know, jumping off the PA and doing karate flips in the pit and all that stuff now. So that's the difference now.
I think, you know, I might be wrong, but for me, since the pandemic, the crowds seems to be getting rowdier again. I don't know if the pandemic had an influence on it or not, but I go to a lot of concerts here in Portugal. And, you know, like the other day I was, you know, at an English band, metalcore band, and the crowd was fucking crazy, Malevolence, and I was forgetting the name of them.
I've heard with them, yeah.
Yeah, and the crowd was fucking mental, and I'm like, this is like, you know, back in the early 90s when I would go to shows, when I was allowed to go to shows, and
that genre of music, they're really aggressive and rowdy.
Yeah, and it's just, but it's great to see people, you know, having fun. You still have some stupid people that, you know, they throw their arms around and kick with the intention of hitting someone. Yeah. I don't like that. I mean, it's not having fun. It's being an idiot. But you can see like a younger generation really into the music. And it gives me hope. You know, my nephew doesn't like heavy metal, but it gives me hope for other kids to actually enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so, you know, before we go, we talked about Left to Die, and with Obituary, what are the plans for you guys next year? More shows, music, what are the plans?
Yeah, the plans are, we'll be touring and doing stuff. We're kind of not in the album writing mode yet for a new album. We're kind of just talking about it amongst ourselves, but next year should be a full lineup of touring and festivals and everything as well.
Cool. All right, Terry, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Left to Die. Hope you guys bring this Initium Mortis record to Portugal for a show. I need to see you guys play. I mean, the album is really good, man. It's really good.
Thank you very much.
So hopefully we'll see you guys next year here in Portugal. All right? Have a great day. Hope to see you soon. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Right.
Metal Global foi conversa com Terry Butler, baixista dos Left to Die e também dos Obituary, para, neste caso, contar tudo sobre a novidade Left to Die, o álbum Initium Mortis, que já está nas lojas, um álbum que recria com alta qualidade as primeiras demos dos Death. Já sabem que tem a versão rádio então na RTP Play, a passar por lá e procurar por Metal Global. Se tiverem dúvidas ou sugestões, podem enviar e-mail jorge.botas@rtp.pt. Podem visitar o site metalglobal.pt e seguir-me no Twitter e Instagram @mountainking. Façam like na página de Facebook do Metal Global e se estão a ouvir esta versão em Apple Podcasts, Spotify ou YouTube Music, subscrevam para não perder nenhum episódio. Eu volto no próximo programa. Um forte abraço.
Children of the night, you will live through the centuries to come, as I have lived. Good night. Good night.